I think I have my excuse, though. If Tyrese Halliburton, who is not going to be the face of the league, but could vie for the face of the league if they win. If Tyrese Halliburton's out, and did he hit any shots last night? Did Tyrese hit a single bucket?
Zero.
He had the goose egg when it comes to field goals.
And he has a calf injury. Mm-hmm. Then why can't I blame things on Darius being hurt?
Yeah, and I've seen some of this. And obviously, since the Cavs have lost any conversation we've had at all about the future of the Cavs, whether to blow up the core, tweak the core, don't do anything, just assume we're going to be good next year. A lot of it is on the injuries, most specifically to Darius Garland.
Yep.
Which the problem with that is I just haven't seen Garland really play well in the playoffs.
I understand that.
I don't know that I could just assume that he would have been really, really good if healthy.
But you know what stops him from giving the chance to keep playing really well in the playoffs? An injury. A serious toe injury where he needed surgery. Yeah, he required surgery.
It sucks because these were the playoffs. I thought we could finally debunk a lot of that stuff. I had been enamored with his play throughout most of the year until the final month and a half where he was awful shooting the ball. And then I was like, finally we can. And then in the Miami series, everybody played well, right? Everybody, anybody, Ty Jerome, Amani Bates could have played in that series and he would have been really good. That's just how that series was going. Then we get to the next series against Indiana. We're favorites. Even after we're losing games, Vegas still had us as the favorite. People kept asking me. I'm like, yeah, we're more talented than the Pacers. And now everybody's gone the other way. Everybody's like, oh, no, the Pacers are more talented. I'm like, well, we're just playing the results now. We're just taking who wins the games. And
if I'm still more talented, if I'm still more talented, like, do you think, and I'm not going to attack you for this. I want to know.
Attack me?
No. I want to know. If I'm in attack mode, I'll set you up differently. Do you think who do you think is the more natural talented player? Is it Darius Garland or Tyrese Halliburton?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, well, that's why
probably Darius. Darius is the handles. He has so much. Tyrese
There's a
is
big
really
difference
talented
between 6'5", 6'6", and 6'2", 6'1".
But that's not the talent part of it, right? That's the physical stuff.
But that's the physical part of it. Like Tyrese Halliburton, even though I know he's had a calf injury here last night, I should say, he is the more sturdy, even though, boy, he's had a serious injury or two.
Yeah.
He would be thought of as the more sturdy player between him and Darius Garland. Like there's going to be a lot more groaning injuries where you're like, really? Like the facial stuff, the nose, the toe, which the toe, they're all serious, but I think at the moment they happen, I think a lot of fans go, oh God, here we go again. I think that a lot of fans do it, and I think that's okay to do. You're observing. You want your team to win. He is a big part of that. But when I see a team,
Halliburton's always been more pass first.
Wins Game 6.
Than Garland.
Game 6 would be on Thursday.
Yeah, I believe
so.
All
right, and then Game 7 would probably be on Sunday, right? Yep. That's how those pivotal games go. So if you got to a Game 6 and Tyrese Halliburton is limping around, if I hear on Friday morning that it was all because Tyrese Halliburton was injured, I mean, I'm probably going to lose my mind here because I'm going to go, well, why can one team have the excuse of being injured and one team can't? If you want to say that Tyrese Halliburton has proven more in the playoffs and has risen to the moment bigger in the playoffs than Darius Garland, I got no argument against that. But that's the typical answer. That's the typical thought of, well, the winners get the right to history because we lost, but I still think the history is proven like, hey, man, you got a guy who's a big part of your basketball team who goes down with a serious toe injury. I want to say foot, but a toe injury and needs surgery and can't run around. That's going to have a significant impact on your basketball team. He did not get the chance to be great in this postseason.
And that's what stinks.
And that's part of my argument for him.
We got to wait a whole nother year. Like he could play at an all NBA level next regular season. Then you're still going to be able to say, well, what happens in the playoffs when they allow physicality, when he gets picked on defensively much more in a series than he would in a regular season game. I think part of it is that, the Pacers have shown the ability to overachieve, and the Cavs haven't shown that ability in any of their playoff runs.
They haven't. No, they haven't.
I'm probably too down on their playoff setup that I should be. Their regular season, I mean, I couldn't say enough good things about them in the regular season.
Who could say anything bad about them in the regular season?
It's why, but it had me believing.
Can't say nothing.
It had me believing about their playoff run. But now, am I going to be that way next year? I don't think I will.
But now I will go into attack mode because I think that this postseason and a guy like Tyrese Halliburton, who is, again, I didn't say he was overrated. His own compadres in the NBA said he was overrated. There was a lot of people don't really know who he is, and there's not.
You worried?
There wasn't much face of the league.
They do that poll right before the end of next season. Do you think that could be Darius? You think Darius could be considered one of the more overrated players?
Well, you're going to hate what I'm having to say now, because I think that if we're talking about convenient excuses, I think the injury to Darius Garland gave the people who've been wanting Darius Garland gone, who thinks that this team is better without Darius Garland, I think it gave them all the ammo in the world to fire away at Darius Garland. To watch this,
and because
Indiana
Ty Jerome at the end of that Miami series, that's what started the conversation. We said it was stupid. Like we came on the air the next day and said that is idiotic. They're not.
Then Ty Jerome went back to being Ty Jerome.
Yeah,
but like Jared Allen. Jared Allen. He has a very strong. It's like a weird fan base there. He has his fans, and they will attack you for wanting to trade him. But I think in the overall scheme of things, it's like, all right, you would see Jared Allen as a tradable commodity. Darius, I think that there is a group of Darius truthers. I think you're one of them. That look at him as an overrated player by guys like me. And I think that this is where you guys have found your excuse to get rid of him. Yeah, I'll say it like that. Get rid of him. Find somebody you think is going to be better in the postseason. Where my argument for Darius is that how can he have the chance to be great in this last postseason if he's injured? I think it's an unfortunate set of circumstances there. And I just don't want to give up on players that are that talented. Are you banking on him being healthy in a postseason? I can't.
But that's the hard part.
And that's the argument. That's the fight back that comes back to me is I don't have faith that he's going to be necessarily healthy, because I think it could happen at any time. I mean, you could limit his minutes. You could do what you can. Like, this would be the perfect year. You think about this. This would be the perfect year for Darius to limit minutes, load manage. Hey, you're coming back from an injury. He's probably going to miss, if it was a how many month recovery for that toe. If he was going to miss that many months, 5 months, if he was going to miss that much time, you're going into November, you're going to miss parts of the games with that. Then you get to December. Then if you want to load manage, it'd be the perfect time. But Darius has been contact, swipes across the face, things like that. So you could see him getting hurt again in the next postseason. But that's the player you drafted. And that right now is the best player for you, because there's something else I'm going to say at 622 that I'm hearing from some people that I think that we have to be very, very careful on when it comes to the Cavaliers. But what I think what I've hit, and it's been a while, and I think it's crystallized in this series, in this finals, is that there has been a drumbeat. You are one of the people holding one of the sticks, beating that drum. There has been a drumbeat to remove Darius Garland, to trade Darius Garland, and I think that injury gave, for both reasons. One, he wasn't able to show up in the playoffs. Two, well, then, Kenny, you're defending a brittle player. It gave them two reasons to move on. You know, the one Cavs beat reporter saying, the Cavs need to move on. It's time for him to go. They need to move in a different direction, to the point where he's been subtweeted by members of the organization there. Yet that's something that stuck with me over the last couple of years, because it got quiet during the regular season. You can't say anything bad about a team that's winning 17 games in a row, for crying out loud. But when this happens, and then I have a team with Tyrese Halliburton going out there and doing it, it's going to give everybody everything they need, the ammo to remove Darius Garland from this team. But if Tyrese Halliburton goes down, and I hear if they go down on Thursday night, and I keep, the calf. All right, well, my player got hurt too. Maybe the excuses just matter for the teams that make the finals. I don't know. I don't make the rules. I just argue them. They're in everybody's emotion. Yeah. Tyrese Halliburton?
Yeah, because I did say that I wanted it fact checked. Oh, what do you think?
I don't know that you're saying that he would be the face of the league.
I said he can vie for face of the league, can he not? If they win, and they're not going to win.
It's one shining moment. That means one moment doesn't mean you're the face of the league.
Now, he did have like 4 shining moments.
Yeah, that's what I'm meaning.
He also had 4 points last night.
Yeah, he had 0 field goals. Now, did have the injury.
Well, that's not a shining moment. And he had an injury. So we take him and we make him what he is, or what we want him to be. He is the catalyst for an injury. He is the catalyst for a loss because of an injury. And I can do the same thing with Darius Garland if I want to, because it does annoy me. And I think that several people on the internet seem to agree with me that I think it's been a convenient thing here over the last month with Darius's injury to find the folks who have been wanting to move on from Darius Garland to find their convenience of moving on from Darius Garland. Now, it doesn't mean they're not going to move on from him, that they're going to combat that argument, but I think it's much easier said than done considering what you can or can't get back because of what's going on with the second apron. And, I don't think we made a very big deal about the Desmond Bane trade yesterday that maybe we should have, because a lot of folks are wondering whether or not Orlando has passed you up. Now, I think that some of that is crazy talk because they're disappointed in the Cavs and how the season ended. But I think a lot of people are talking about whether or not the Cavs were passed up because of this Desmond Bane trade, which was a big, big, big trade in NBA parlance.
I thought it was a great trade for them. I thought it was the perfect time to swoop in. It reminded me, like I said yesterday, of the Indiana Pacers trading for Siakam. Not necessarily a household name or, a perennial MVP candidate. Desmond Bane is just a role player, right? But a really good one. Somebody who is a really, really good shooter, and he can defend at times, and he can defend 1 through 4. He can switch. Seems to be perfect additive for what they need.
7:20, Lima has a special event tonight that he wants to have a couple of pops at, and he doesn't know if he's going to be allowed to by his wife. We will tell you about that coming up at 7:20 this morning. I have heard a sentiment here, and I think that we do need to be careful about it. And at 6:40, by the way, I have a dangerous comparison to make between your Cleveland Guardians and another team. There's been something that's been written and said even. I heard Nick and Jonathan talking yesterday, and I don't think they're wrong about this. Usually we go on the attack and we say when each other's wrong. I was driving yesterday, and I heard Nick and Jonathan talking about how, whoever wins, that team ends up being emulated. Like if the Oklahoma City Thunder win, then teams tend to want to build like that. And I think, you know what? In so many ways, it's so true across sports and for decades and decades and decades. The dominant team. But I think in today's NBA, and really over the last how many years now, I think that's a dangerous proposition for us to watch Oklahoma City and say, we need to build like that. Or for us to watch Indiana. If Indiana were to win the next 2 games, we need to build like them. There's been 7 champions in 7 years. And I think that all those teams have been different to some level. I mean, over the last 7 years, you think about it, you're going out of the tail end of the super team era into this difference of how does the CBA work? How do you put together a team? How do you make it stay as long as you can? Now we're seeing more and more, and you're noticing this. Teams have to be better on the margins. Before it was, and this is why, when it comes to the big 3, core 4, whatever it is, that's part of the reason I'm a little bit skittish on moving on all these guys, or a lot skittish of it. I'm seeing guys that we don't talk about during the regular season step up and play well. They're better on the margins, filling in the gaps, changing the way that they play to help fill in those gaps a little bit better. And I think that if you set yourself up to say, we are going to be Oklahoma City, we are going to be the Boston Celtics, we are going to be Team X, Team Y, Team Z, I think you're going to get lost in 2 years. I don't know if a team has the wherewithal to be able to do that because of how the CBA works and how stringent it is now. But also, even if you were going to do it in the draft or anything, I think you can get lost real quick about the type of basketball team you want. I think we're in a very dangerous era of basketball. Yeah, and even the athlete that's playing the game right now.
Yeah, well, and the Pacers, they look like they're probably going to lose now. I still give them a fighting chance to win Game 6, and who knows when you have a Game 7? Who knows what kind of chaos that creates? But they built an identity. They have an identity. They do it differently than just about any team. And here they are in the NBA Finals, and they've been in the Eastern Conference Finals 2 consecutive years and have overachieved both years. The Cavs, it all comes back to whether or not we think fundamentally the Cavs are built the right way. Now, we've given Kobe Altman a ton of credit, rightfully so, for building a team that anybody would even think would have a chance with the 2 small guards, right? And the duplication they have with the 2 big men. Remember, we've been arguing about this forever, whether or not this actually works. In the regular season, it works. That debate is over. I mean, they cruise to the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
So it works in a regular season. Now, of course, coming back next year, fans aren't going to care about a regular season. They're going to care whether or not this team can catapult off of that and use their identity to win in the postseason. And that is the hard part of this, because it's not easy to just say, okay, I don't know that Darius and Donovan work anymore. Let's trade Darius no matter what. I've never said that. If you're going to do a Darius trade, it has to make sense. You have to get longer. You have to get more athletic. You have to get bigger. You have to find different types of ways that you can do this. We were hoping that, Donovan Mitchell would play like a superstar in the playoffs, and he didn't shoot it like a superstar, but I mean, he got to the free throw line a ton in that series. It should have been good enough, right? If we would have operated the way that we thought we could. All right, Evan Mobley. Well, Evan Mobley just didn't get the ball enough.
No.
But Evan Mobley, that should fit on any team. Being a dominant defensive player of the year type player who can guard anybody on the perimeter and can block shots at the rim. That works with any team. That works with any identity. It's some of the other pieces that you wonder about. And DeAndre Hunter, unfortunately, injures his hand on that dunk attempt, and that sucked because now you just don't know how close to 100% he was and what that did to his rhythm.
And this is another thing to it. And I might be trying to grasp at straws here for arguments for Darius Garland to some folks, but I'm going to make every single one I can. I'm going to empty the clip on it all. For Darius, again, you just said it. You can't just trade away Darius for nothing. The right deal has to be there. It all has to make sense with the salaries, and it all has to make sense with the tax exemptions and all that other crap that we talk about. But I think that we could find a spot where if you don't move on from Darius, and I think it's very hard to move on from him. If you don't move on from Darius, I don't think it's anything to be down about. I think it's something to learn from, and this is where the regular season matters. And you'll have to watch this going into next year. Is this a spot where the injury can actually help? Because if he's going to miss, if it's 5 months and he's going to miss part of the beginning of the season, Evan Mobley can't sit there and change the way he's going to play. Because if you're the Cavs, all right, get those shots up. We need the ball in your hands. It's time for you to become the player we need you to be. You've been in the league here for 5 years now. I know you're still a pup, but you've been in the league here for a while. It's time for you to rise and be the type of player that we need you to be. And by the time Darius comes back, we can't go back to the old ways. If you went back to the old ways, we'll probably get the same results, and we're all going to be disappointed by that. But the regular season mattering because of the injury to Darius Garland, it may force Evan Mobley to be that type of player, and we can't take a step back from that. Because it does sound to me more and more in the series against Indiana, if Evan Mobley was more assertive with his shot, are we able to beat Indiana in game 2? If Evan Mobley is more assertive with his shot, are we able to get back in that series? I think that these are teams. I can't guarantee we'd win the series with the injuries there and just Evan Mobley being a kid. But I think that these are questions you have to ask. And would we be better off with the health of all these guys and then a more dominant, assertive Evan Mobley? I think the answer is clear to everybody.
Teams don't have an answer for a 6'11" guy dribbling who all of a sudden is bullying guys underneath the basket. They don't have an answer for that. But when you've got the two guards monopolizing all the shots, all the point of attack, drives, all of that stuff, which is what we saw in that series. Again, we're talking about the injury to Garland, and yet he takes more shots than Evan Mobley in that elimination game. Can't happen.
It's not going to be exciting to move Okoro unless you just can't stand Isaac Okoro. It's not going to be exciting to move Dean Wade for pieces that fit in. But my case in point for everything is that you may have the ingredients still with this team, watching what's gone on in this finals and the rest of the NBA playoffs, knowing that the league is as wide open as it's ever been, which is going to create more disappointment because there's more teams, and this is your point to a lot of this, there's more teams than ever who think they have a chance to win something. And so there's going to be more teams that are disappointed in the end. If you're not one of the two teams in the NBA past during the 2014 to 2018 run between the Cavs and the Golden State Warriors, if you weren't a fan of either one of those teams, there wasn't a reason for you to get sorely disappointed. Now there's a reason. But I think that you have to be that much better on the fill-in pieces, the guys who are the 6th, 7th, and 8th guys that come in off the bench that make that difference.